everyone. I call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. I take a motion to approve the agenda and the minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Morning, Mr. Loberg. How are you today?
I am fine today, Mr. Stone. I'm hope to get better.
Get better.
Good for you. All right, Rich Brown, how you doing?
Good.
Good.
Had the engineers conference last week, late last week. Still don't really have any clear understanding of this new bill for the transportation bill. Other than they said there's a lot of money in it, but all indications point to new programs that are competitive ranks instead of just having the funding. But they still say it's still 9 months out before we start seeing anything anyway. So it takes a while for that stuff to get enacted. So we'll keep an eye on it and see what I'll keep you guys posted on what comes up for what they're indicating for money. Other than that, we're out trying to pick debris up where we see it in the right of way from the storm last week and fixing signs and whatever else needs fixing. So
There's signs might be an issues. Either posts or just the signs off the post.
yeah.
I was gonna ask if that's the new standard procedure, just tie into the fence actually.
I didn't even know what was going on. Don't know how many are out there yet. I haven't get a report yet from how many are missing, but yeah, so I'm sure there's a lot.
Found out which one.
And I seen several fly right by me. So.
Yeah, well, you didn't try to grab them.
County property.
Don't bang your truck.
Yeah.
Are you doing any thought on a battery backup system and then doors opening? Because I know that delayed our response heavily on getting machinery out when they lost electricity at all the places.
Oh, I don't know. I guess I never gave it much thought. We've never had anything before.
Like at the shops, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the shops were down when they couldn't get the main or the loaders out and to come out and help us move debris. It was slowed us up big time, but they finally did. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they just gotta pull a release. And I know the doors are heavier than snot though, so. Yeah, we don't have any backup generations. So I don't know what kind of power it takes to back up the openers, but
Well, the only other thing where you'd have a backup generator would be the only, you know.
we don't have any of those around. I mean, when you think about it, but
Just a standard generator. would-
just enough to get the doors open, yeah. Well,
Cause most 9 times out of 10, your openers are just plugged into an outlet, so all you have to do is
Right.
hit the cord up there, hit the button. You know,
Okay.
you can be.
We don't have enough generators yet.
You can't open them, they don't have a release on them.
They should.
You can't.
They
lift them?
should, they're just, yeah, they can, and that's
Right,
probably
two
what they
people.
did.
Right, it's 2 people.
You gotta get them passed, so.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, that's how they
Yeah.
probably did open them, was just manually. Just
Okay.
takes a while,
Right.
cause you gotta climb up high enough to pull the rope.
Right,
Pull the rope and then
and you gotta lift
hoist
them.
them up, so.
Yeah.
Well, nobody hurt doing that either.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something that people shouldn't be doing themselves either, is climbing on top of a machine, because that's probably what's the front
Right.
door.
Yeah,
Just to
right.
Pull that, you know what I mean?
And the safest and quickest way would be to actually just have a backup generator that kicked in.
When we get new facilities, we can make sure.
Well, that would, I think,
Just
it'd be,
include
it
that.
would
But we could
probably.
probably look at, because it doesn't take much of a little generator to plug in and get doors open.
No, it
They're
wouldn't take no.
not taking that much probably.
Hell, inverter on a truck would probably do it.
Yes,
Some Ford pickups, we can run the whole shop, I guess, right?
just have to get. the-
Yeah.
Yeah, we can look into that.
Inverters probably would work too.
Other than that,
You know,
you're working on budget.
keep filling us in when you, whatever you hear of this new bill. We can go. There's a way we can go grab some money for roads and bridges, obviously.
Well, there's supposedly a lot of money in it for bridges, but I think a lot of it looks like it's competitive somehow, some way. We'll see.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it's new, so of course they don't have the details ironed out. They just throw the money out and.
Right.
Like ARP.
Yeah.
And then we do have our bridge inspection, I think, are done here in the county, and we have one small short span over on another one. We gotta maybe take half. It's one of the non-NBIS bridges, they were the non-standard bridges that we had started inspecting, and they looked at it this time, and we gotta kind of block half the road off till we get it fixed, and it's right along the shell rock, so we'll have to see if we can put something together and get it replaced. It's probably something small enough we can get to look at, get some survey done on it, but depending on how tall the structure it is, we could probably put a rail car in it and get by, or we'll just see what kind of height we have. We'll have to do multiple pipe thing or something. I think it's on Raven.
Yeah.
Well, there's a spruce. I can't remember now. There's a couple.
Oh, spruce, yeah, it would be spruce.
There's 2 of them. They're both along the shell rock. One we had locked off one side, now this one's a different one, so. We'll see what we can get figured out. But I don't think they have too many things. They didn't report anything too critical on our normal bridges, so we're looking good there. What I noticed was, I can't remember if it was Metro County or Worth County when they come out with our funding estimates for the year. It's based on our square footage of Port Deck. So as we improve bridges,
We get less money.
we get less money.
That really makes sense. When you're,
Well, but as we get more inspections every 2 years, we might show some more poor decks.
so I mean, if we decided to test on that, would even affect that too.
Yeah, it would.
You know,
It could, yeah, it could affect that. So,
Try to do your due diligence.
yeah, yeah. Because obviously there's never enough to keep up anyway. I mean, what we get isn't enough to do what we always need to do. So,
Yeah.
One question I was gonna maybe bring it up later, but I'll bring it up now. How do you guys want to handle my engineer's contract is up in July and we're going through budget stuff? I don't know if you guys want to address it now or later, how you want to get with Mitchell County.
We have to do it as a joint board.
I don't know if you have to do it as a joint board or not.
Okay.
It just all been done that way, right?
Well,
It's always been that way. You
Yeah.
guys meet together and do it.
You go to Carpenter Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
It's up to you guys how you guys want to
Just
do it.
to
If you
me.
want to
Mhm.
do it individually or together, I guess that's up to you guys,
No.
but I have something written and I'm not changing anything in the contract as it's written now. Same thing. Well, I guess what I'm clarifying is on the cost of living increases, like everybody else, I always say the average of the elected officials between the two counties. And when I never specified whether it was the average of the sheriff being elected official or the county attorney, I just use auditor, treasurer, recorder as that increase versus
Okay.
the other two. So I'm not asking for anything different in it, just to kind of continue where we're at, so. And I have a bunch of information for you guys to look at too, as far as average salaries in the state, the neighboring salaries for single county, dual county, and for all intents and purposes, we're still saving a ton of money by doing dual, if you know, I think it's between the two county, I mean, each county is saving over 40 grand a year. And then you look at engineering administration costs, we're one of the lowest in the state. Anyway, just want to know how you guys want to think about how you want
I think we have to do joint action and then we
Bring it back to our.
bring it back to
boards.
us here and do it
Yeah,
separately. I wouldn't have a
that's-
problem with it, but I would think we probably.
to, I'll let you
should
guys kind of,
Maybe we can set something up like mid-January or
That's
late
fine.
still
January.
start January, maybe we can get it
Yeah,
hammered out.
yeah, just meet up over there someday and then,
it's up to you guys how you want to handle it, but I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up that it's,
I can see when the last one was dated too. So
Yeah.
you guys got together.
I think it was in,
Was it
January.
around?
It's
Usually
just
January,
like
it's usually
after the
January.
yeah,
first or
No.
second week, so about right.
We did a 2-year contract a couple years ago, or three.
it was, it's been 3 for a long time, so
Couldn't remember what it was. I was just thinking of that. It's probably a lot up.
yeah, it'll be up in July.
Well, if you want to run it by those guys tomorrow, and then
I'll mention it to them.
Yeah.
we'll look at first or second week.
Okay.
Of January, probably second week of January. Get together.
Alright.
Yep,
That's all I got for you this morning.
Enos, you got anything for Rich?
Nope, I'm good.
Alrighty, thanks, sir. Drainage, no drainage?
No drainage, but I do have a little update. John Rosenben was here, last week and, Mark is working on that report and he actually was gonna measure something or whatever to help him out with that. I also asked him if it would possibly be a good idea to have Mark also assist us with keeping an eye on the structure so that things get done when they need to get done, because it sounds like we're gonna need some seeding and getting some weeds and stuff like that, that if maybe he stayed on top of it for us.
But I would say yes.
We just pay him
because
by the hour.
Well, that's the worst
and-
thing
Doesn't
is,
seem like nobody wants.
nobody wants
to
to,
go and do it,
you know,
so. I
City of
guess-
Northwood doesn't want nothing to do with it. We don't really
And-
have anybody to take care of it. I mean,
And we got 5 years to, I mean, this is the second year, but we have the 5 years to get it to where it needs to
Needs to
be,
be.
or else we'll have to keep reporting. So the quicker it gets to where it needs to be.
right,
So I don't know if I think John said that they had some kind of a contract that they could share with us, that we could maybe figure something out.
Yeah.
If Mark was willing.
I would say yes.
we were talking about, 'cause like I said, I know it needs to be mowed now, and then you'll you can probably see what you need for seeding and whatever else. So
And
we just did some seeding
Well, and
last
last
year too, right?
spring wasn't a good time for seeding.
No, last year was horrible year for grass.
Yeah.
No. I mean, actually, right now, it's just as good a time to seed as any.
Yeah.
Usually, last year it didn't work, but. Like seeding
Because it,
for some reason. I don't know what
It was last spring, we had more seeding done because EPA or somebody looked at it, or, Army Corps looked at it and said that there was certain weeds or grasses coming and they didn't want there, so they had that reseeded, but. Yeah, I guess if Mark wants to do it, and then he can just, whatever he's gonna do to keep us informed, so we can get it.
So
where it needs
John
to
and
be.
I'll work on that.
Get it up to par.
Get it,
well,
get
that'd
it
be
to you
great.
guys.
That'd be great, because then we can stay on top of it instead of Army Corps coming in,
Sounds,
You don't
needs to
wanna-
be done right
right.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
so.
That's
Okay,
true.
sounds good. Anything else drainage? Enos, anything drainage?
Nope.
Claims, any questions on claims?
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
All right, motion approved, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Okay, this motion for regular claims and payroll claims. All in favor, aye?
All right,
Aye.
Opposed, motion will carry. You're gonna have a sore wrist when you get back here, Enos, you gotta sign all this paperwork.
that's like election stuff.
Kind of figured with some of these reports too as a quorum, so we're just tucking
Oh,
them
definitely,
away.
yeah.
But yeah, I got some other stuff for him to sign.
No, we ain't gonna let them off the hook that
That's
easy.
right.
Just give him a stack, huh?
All right, do we have any reports?
No.
No. Payroll eligibility or salary changes?
And for the end again.
This is completion of probationary period. Motion to approve the salary change for Michaela.
I'll make that a motion.
Yep, second.
I'll second it.
All right, any other questions? All in favor, aye?
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay. Liquor license,
Oh, we're good on that.
Mark Tomlinson, adoption of this updated safety manual.
Go up one.
Oh, resolution.
Yeah.
Public
Sorry, you
hearing
probably
date.
have the first one. Sorry.
Oh, I'm on the, sorry, you're right. I'm on the wrong one.
I don't know,
I did-
precincts.
I bet.
I did some looking around and all we need is a motion, but I just want to get the date set for the public hearing for the redistricting, the maps and all
Okay.
that good stuff. So it's December 7th
Yeah.
at 9 o'clock.
Okay. So I'll take a motion to approve resolution 2021.12.20 to set the public hearing date for an ordinance establishing our election precinct.
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? We'll do a roll call vote.
It's
Lowberg?
just a motion.
Aye.
It's just a motion. I
Oh,
did some reading and I.
Oh,
Motion to
just-
establish a
Yeah,
resolution.
Yeah,
Okay.
we just have to
Okay.
get the date.
Still do roll
Set.
call.
All right, we'll finish it.
Yeah.
Maybe
All right,
Stone, aye.
got one guy in Zoom, that makes it easier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we go to Mark, right?
No. Yep.
Yeah,
It's actually probably on here a little bit early, because we have to have the safety meeting at 10 o'clock or after the ARPA meeting today.
Yep.
But, so we've had this draft safety manual from Safety Solutions, Jim Moody provided. It's been out there, Rich has the actual hard copy for a while. People supposed to have been looking through it, giving comments, so I haven't received any yet, I don't know if you guys.
I haven't looked at it that close yet.
In order to get the, keep the ball rolling on it, not just let it sit on the shelf and not do anything. But that's pretty much just so that, the time we're gonna adopt it or whatever comment period is gonna be ending after today's meeting.
Sure.
Move it forward.
Yep, that's what we'll act on it, safety committee, and then
Yeah,
we'll bring
we'll
up
have more
more
discussion.
first of the year probably.
more discussion on it at the safety meeting today, and then we'll, I don't know if you'll have a supervisor meeting next week or if you're gonna forego.
No, we have to. I think we just got
So
a couple
it'll
things
either
we
be-
have to do.
Yeah, it'll either be on next week's agenda or the.
Just do after first year.
First year,
Yep.
probably.
That first year meeting's big enough anyways. we'll just-
I guess we can next week, we can, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
As long as there's- Nobody's in disagreement with it.
Cause we are meeting next week, correct?
Next Monday, probably.
Yeah,
We have to, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple things that we have to get done, I know. Oh, so. But no, that's good. We need to get that under control so that keep our insurance carrier happy.
Make them happier.
Happier, yeah. They're happy with the amount of money we're getting, giving them. Not happy with
For the
our,
right reasons.
with our policies, so. Okay, anything else on the safety manual? All right, Alan Reese,
Good morning, Alan.
how you doing today?
Good,
Good.
good. Just have something to read here. A couple of weeks ago, I was allowed to address the board regarding the installation of wind turbine generators in Worth County. Did not receive any response from the board, which indicates either lack of interest on their behalf or a poor job on my behalf of presenting my views. It is my intention to promote dialogue with the Board of Supervisors. In the words of Doyle Brunson, once you know it, it seems obvious, but until you know it, it's not obvious. GE dumped PCBs into Hudson Bay for over 25 years. The house I live in now in Worth County had this septic tank dumping straight into the creek when I bought it 5 years ago. Obviously, both situations required some governmental intervention. Merging government and corporation, as in the wind industry, is corporatism and fascist. The US Constitution did not intend our government to pick which industries will prevail. We may hear the phrase government boondoggle or government picking winners and losers, but it is fascism. People that partake in this act of tyranny on the individual are statists. Promoting it would be a corporate shill. Disregarding citizens' ownership, like impinging on their property lines, falls into this heading. An anecdote, short story, or an analogy. In the movie Animal House, Delta Pledge Dorfman allows his fraternity brothers to use his brother's new car for a joyride. Upon returning home to the fraternity house, after the car is nearly destroyed, the fraternity president tells the pledge, "Hey, you screwed up, you trusted us." Invenergy infers that Worth County screwed up by trusting them to install wind turbine generators as they said they would. Reference to Deer Creek project. Stating that since Worth County had no regulations regarding wind turbines, Invenergy believes that they can install as they please. If Invenergy was a reputable contractor developer, an ordinance would not be required. Modifications to the proposed ordinance are less of a process than what is required to pass the ordinance. So quit stalling, pass the ordinance. Invenergy is threatening to sue Worth County for a breach of an implied contract when they are actually in breach of contract for not installing or for not honoring their initial offering. Any damages would be speculative or not within the contemplation of the parties when the implied contract was negotiated. Therefore, they are unenforceable. The medium for damages is called liquidated damages and are to be specified in the terms of the contract. It is obvious that there is no contract, not even an inferred contract. Contract has 4 parts: offer, acceptance, consideration, legality is subject matter. Embedded into all 4 parts of the contract is a meeting of the minds or an understanding of what is to be included in the contract. In contract law, under the heading nature of contract, when terms are too indefinite, a contract is unenforceable. Invenergy has demonstrated that they not only do not know what they will be installing. They have misrepresented the truth during any negotiation. During the October 4th Board of Supervisors meeting, when asked specifics regarding the Worthwhile Wind project, Invenergy's responses of least impactful, concessions, just an example, just looked at, balance, hone in on, potentially, largely, essentially, all seem to focus on deception. Invenergy's responses of just a starting point or it's a mixed bag does not display any meeting of the minds. Invenergy also tried to conflate setbacks for smaller turbines with setbacks for larger turbines for more deception. A wind ordinance is required due to an unreputable developer contractor, specifically Invenergy. I'm not a lawyer, but if Invenergy is allowed the chance to cause additional problems like they did for the Deer Creek project, the Worth County Board of Supervisors should be culpable and at risk of negligence. Thanks.
Thank you. Enos, you have any comments or questions for Alan?
Nope, I'd already read the email this morning, so.
Okay. Mark? So this board has been working together to get this ordinance passed. And we are still gonna bring it to the table. It will still get looked at along with countywide zoning as well. We're gonna have a little discussion on it here later, so. Just so you know that your presentation or you speaking a couple weeks ago didn't go overlooked. It just wasn't commented on, so. We are trying to do the right thing here. Just want you to know that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next thing, Winworth Betco. Melissa, oh no, sorry, my bad, not yet, Melissa. Countywide zoning discussion. Got some emails here a couple weeks ago from NICOG, Jeff Grieve, that recommending the best way to have a more secure and enforceable ordinance pertaining to zoning issue. It's probably to implement countywide zoning. It has been discussed a few times over this whole process, and I think it needs to be talked about. You know, since it had been brought up, I've been questioned by a few people. I'm sure you guys have too, but I think a lot of it just lacks education on zoning. Zoning is meant to protect, not to, you know, fight against or be another layer of government. I think there's a lot of people in the agricultural world too that think it's out to be against them, but it's not, because when it comes to agriculture use, it's exempt. So I think the discussion of taking countywide zoning, bringing it into Worth County would be a good thing. So what's your thoughts, Enos?
I agree with you. I think that just having 3 townships zoned and 9 townships not zoned, we need to treat all the citizens of Worth County the same. And let's face it, I've lived in one of those zoned townships for 51 years, and I haven't seen much difference the way we have it set up. So I am for going to all townships in Worth County being zoned.
Okay. What's your thoughts, Mark?
I really pretty much prefer to leave it the way it is, but you know, we can bring it up for discussion. That's no problem. Most people I've talked to, again, said the same things what you said there. They're pretty much against it. You know, I'm not sure if it protects or hurts or helps or anything. I'm not looking for any protections, and I don't think most people that have talked to me are really either, but it's definitely can be brought up and discussed. I do know that, I mean, 3 years ago, a simple permit process was brought up so we know when things were built, and people just come on board.
Well, why we dropped that is because it doesn't pertain to ag. So
Right.
that's why we dropped it. So
So I mean, it's.
if they knew it,
Which would be
if
part
they
of,
knew it didn't pertain to ag, then you probably wouldn't have got so much.
well, the
feedback.
permit process would.
Mm.
Anybody who built anything would have had at least filed permits, so we knew it was being built. I think that's some of the
In
big
ag,
drawback.
no.
Yeah,
With ag,
we
that's-
could have easily had a countywide permit process at any buildings and
We
no
couldn't
matter what it
propose,
was.
we can't.
You still have to come in
require
and
ag.
file a permit. You wouldn't have any
Okay.
object, I mean, there'd be no
There's no fees.
stipulations.
There's no fees.
Yeah, there'd be no fees, there'd be no. And people were against it. Not just ag people, there was others against it, so. You know. And, you know, I don't know why people, I know why people don't come in and tell you. They want to finish their building before they get taxed, you know. But anyway, that's what I heard, and like I say, you can definitely put it on the agenda.
Well, it's
Discuss
just,
it, and
yeah, it's one of those things where instead of using, picking on wind turbine or picking on this one industry, you know, it needs to be fair for every industry. And that's been brought up numerous times. Well, that's one way to make it fair for every industry. Whether it's industrial, commercial, wind, solar, everything. They would all get treated equally. So there would no longer be that picking on certain industries. It would be treating everybody the same when it comes to that. So that's my thought on it. And then, you know, with the guidance of NICOG and Jeff Grieve, our county attorney, saying that's probably the best way to go is countywide. That's why the discussion is brought up. So I just, like I say, you know, if we're gonna go after one, you're right, we should go after all. We should treat everybody the same. So that's where I've I didn't kind of register with me for some reason, I don't know why, but it seems like the fair way to do it now.
you still have to have ordinance specific to any industry, and zoning is just kind of a broad brush. I mean, you wouldn't. I would assume anything zoning for wind or solar would be a separate ordinance for the Manly terminal, if you're gonna do something there with that business. So you'd still have to handle each specific business separately.
Okay.
And that would be built into the zoning, I assume.
And everything that happens at the Manly terminal is gonna fall under Manly's.
Under Manly zoning anyway, but I'm just, you know.
Wouldn't matter on this end because they still have that 2-mile.
Right.
Boundary.
So would you like Matt to come in and kind of give you guys an overview of what needs to happen, or just?
That's probably the
That would be
next
the best,
next step, I would say, is
yeah. He can zoom or however he wants to do it.
Yeah.
you know.
is to maybe get him in after the first of the year. And have that discussion.
Because you'll probably have to engage I'm guessing planning and zoning would have to do that too.
Well,
Well, I would sure.
Not
hope
really,
you're gonna
it's-
include all the other townships, and you need to either include somebody from each township in this discussion.
Yeah.
it's, the zoning is already established.
Right.
It's truly
Central
just-
for you, what you can
It's truly
adopt.
just taking it from 3 townships to 12
Yeah,
townships.
you could just adopt what's there to start with. And then
Yeah.
it could be-
And then you could go from there.
Cross off the line on the top.
But yeah, basically, all it is just
Yeah.
reword that,
Yeah, you'd have to reword it.
reword those 3 townships to all of them
And I
and.
guess NICOG could look at it and Greaves could look at it at that time, and any updates or whatever can be made and
Right.
it could be adopted.
And it's something that needs to get looked at annually anyways, just like all our other ordinances and a lot of other stuff, you know,
Yeah.
so.
How we're supposed to, I believe.
The base is there, the groundwork's done for the most part.
Right.
Like I say, just education, I think, is a lot of it, in my opinion, so.
And then you'll have to look for new board members too, probably. Probably have to change
Be a few more,
so that everybody's got a voice.
you can take it and follow the new election precincts.
Well, it could be adapted,
That'll
or it could be
cover-
adapted by supervisor districts too. And keep the same number, well, you'd be the same number of board members in actually.
Well, you could do 3.
And have a
then you could
chairman
do-
at large or whatever.
Do a couple at large.
Yep.
You do one from each district and then a couple at large.
Right.
Doesn't matter what, we appoint them, so it's not like it's a ballot.
You still gotta get somebody to volunteer.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. Obviously, we've got 5 now, so trying to take it to much more than that would be a
Right.
tricky one to keep a full board, but.
True.
Okay, does that sound all right with you, Eunice? Do we engage Matt O'Brien to come up and chat with us a little bit?
Yes, I agree with that. I think we should just adopt what we've got and go from 3 townships to 12 townships.
Okay. Well, like I said, we talk with him first, and then if we need
Yeah,
to
definitely.
give us any services, we can do that at that meeting as well, so.
I
Yeah.
have the procedure for you too. in case
Right,
you need to
yeah.
go Through the whole.
Yep,
Process.
yep,
Mhm.
so. Okay, anything else on that?
Not for me.
Okay, right. Winworth Betco, Melissa,
Good morning.
how are you?
We have the exec board meeting on the 10th and an advisory board meeting on the 12th. The 12th is at the Brandon Iron in Thompson. And we have a couple of new mayors that I'm hoping to come. So Myrtle from NIACOG is going to come and just give a brief overview on some of the extra grants that are available out there because of COVID. I am going to be at the Manly City Council meeting tonight, working on a housing project, a couple of them. I'm working with Henkel and Accord, part of the team there. The Port Authority meeting notices and minutes are up on Winworth Betco's website. So I'm kind of changing things up on how people get notified. They'll still get notified, but you have to sign up to get notified. Just because I'm the secretary of about 5 different boards, so I'm using MailChimp from now on to be a little bit more organized. And then AJ, did you get Lee's email on the urban renewal process for Manly Terminal?
Yeah, yep, I did, and I'll give him a call today. They basically need to let us know what their plan is, what they're expecting from us, so.
Okay.
So I'll call Lee today and talk with him a little bit.
All right, and then I will be using some of my vacation days. So tomorrow through the 1st, I'll have to come in on the 31st for some administrative duties. But other than that, sorry.
Well, that sounds good. So, Nina, you got any questions for Melissa?
Nope, I just want to comment that the signs out to the interchange look good.
Good.
They still there?
They were still there. I looked this morning,
Good,
over the
good,
weekend, so no damage.
good. Well, kudos to the roads department for
Yeah, thanks, guys.
enforcing them to stay.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything for Melissa?
Melissa, I had a conversation with all the presidents of Farmers Trust last Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever it was, and they had questions about this project going forward at the Manly Terminal and questions on TIF and different things like that. So I did direct them to you if they had some questions, any other questions, kind of what's going on. You're more in the loop on everything that's going on out there. I could have them sent to AJ too, but you might be getting a call from them if they had any further questions. So.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Thanks, Melissa. Enjoy your vacation.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Chris is not on, but
No.
hopefully they addressed whatever.
Yeah, I did a septic last week. I talked to him
Okay.
Friday, and sounds like they had everything fixed and running, so.
You say that.
Yeah, so well, that's the thing, the system don't run hardly without it, so you gotta keep on the up and up, rely on that technology more and more. So yeah, it sounded like everything was going okay out there, so.
And he said he was gonna report what he needed to report, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, on the inspection
It's usually just a response and.
response, and there's always a few little things
Takes a
because
few days.
they always find everything, but yeah, he has to, he will do the response for us on behalf of us, like he has before, so.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I think we're okay there. Department head discussion. See,
Who wants to be first?
Teresa just sent something.
yeah. Something on Tyler, which I have no idea. That has something to do with you guys.
Oh, that's what
Rob
the,
Gardner.
records for. It's been brought up by customers or landowners. I had a call from a guy here a couple of years ago, and I think that's what she's addressing there, so.
Yeah, I mean, I read it last week a little bit, covered it, but it's basically an alert system. So if something comes up for a citizen can actually register for the service. And then if something changes or something happens in the recorder's office, then they get an alert sent out to them.
that a change has been made or something has been made to their records out there. Is that correct?
Yeah.
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 So how hard is it for an individual to set it up? I mean, if we did implement this, like if I wanted, I'd have to get all my property in there, basically is what it is, right? And if somebody was trying to file liens against it or something that it would alert me. I mean, would I have to actually go in there and look for these alerts?
No, it would actually alert you that.
Is that a major problem already?
Well,
It's bigger than you think, I think.
It's something that, Tyler's been talking about for quite some time. I know we've looked at from time and once in a while. The big thing on as far as I'm concerned, is we'd have to set up a web server, an outside facing web server.
And is there a fee? 'Cause this isn't gonna be cheap, I'm
no.
guessing.
I think
There's
it's
a-
pretty inexpensive, $800 or
Yeah,
something
for,
like that.
yeah, and then a recurring.
For the
something.
reoccurring was $800 a year.
But I mean, the people that wanna sign up, should there be a fee?
I'm not involved in that, so I'm not sure.
If they don't use it as a chart, yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of like fraud protection, I mean.
Like a credit card fraud
Yeah.
protection. I'd like to see a demo first.
Yeah.
And Teresa and I haven't actually physically talked about it, we just kind of sent some emails back and forth.
Yep.
But I've got some questions about the technology end, especially since Tyler is wanting us to take all their stuff cloud anyway. Why do we need to set up a web server? Since they want to take all our stuff web-based anyway, so. But yeah, I can visit with Teresa again, but I don't think it's a bad idea. And the expense is not terrible at all. I just have some questions on the technology side of things.
So, would this, like, is this a setup, would it be just countywide, or if you had property in the other counties in the state or another state, could you enter them all? I mean, would it be covered? I think this is where it kind of started from the guy that first questioned me on this a couple of years ago, actually doesn't live in the county anymore. He probably knows him, but anyway, so you have absentee type of property owners.
Mhm.
And I think, maybe that's where his community's pretty techy anyway. And his concerns came on that is, I don't really pay attention to my property other than talking to my landlord, my tenant, or whatever. And he has a concern, and I'm living in the county. I don't know if I'd have any more protection. I don't go check with Teresa and what's going on. I mean, I trust my lenders and things like that when they, somebody's gonna file a lien, it's gonna be them. So
And your signature should be on
your signature should be on it, but yet, I guess, cyber world today, attacks come all the time, and we're all hooked up. So it's pretty easy for somebody to maybe go on and do that and not have us know it. So,
My interpretation is this would only be land in the county.
okay.
So, it doesn't matter if you live in the county or not.
Right,
It has to
you
be
could-
land in the
it.
county.
All the parcels here.
Yeah,
Partials would be good.
Yeah.
We wouldn't guarantee another county. parcel.
No, and I know, we're not, Tyler, I mean, they're really not guaranteeing anything. There's no dollar protection. It's just gonna warn you that you've got somebody trying to get you. That's all it is.
Somebody was in the recorder's office putting something against your property.
Yeah,
If it wasn't you, now you know.
And I think it's anything against the property. So any kind of document filed or anything like that.
Yeah.
So you get some sort of alert on that.
That's worth looking into, and see, find out more about it, I guess.
Yeah, like I
I don't
said,
know how many people you have use it, but
I've been locked in a couple of the projects, so I really haven't talked to Teresa about it much yet, but I know I wanted to talk to her about seeing what the demo is and like I said, I don't know anything about the back end on this thing. So.
Well, with your guidance, we'll revisit.
The recorder and I will get together and talk about it.
okay.
Any department heads have anything?
Obviously with the storm coming through, we've had some issues. So Homeland Security requested they're gathering dollar amounts for damages to public infrastructure, public protective measures for stuff like that. So I did send an email out, and you should have all got it. If you got questions, get back to me with it, but they're looking for overtime spent putting out like barricades, going around looking for damage assessments, stuff like that. So, and I need to have all that stuff by close of, I need to have it and submitted to them by the close of day Wednesday. So, best guess estimates, if you haul debris out of the public roadway, how many, best guesstimates on that and stuff.
Just for overtime, or even straight time like
Just
today?
overtime. And then there's like 3 categories in there on that email. So, on your cities, I don't know if like Kensett didn't have any, Hamilton didn't have any. I haven't heard anything from Fertile, I think it's pretty much the damage is confined to at least from the east side of the interstate, from what I've seen. There were power outages, but that was, but they're looking just basically by the amount of damage to the electrical infrastructure, to the and the, like Mid-America and Alliant and ITC, those damages don't count. But like to any of the rural electric cooperatives, that does count.
Yeah, we're busy.
That amount of damage will help get us probably to that presidential declaration. And between that and if we can, even though we don't have enough in Worth County to get a declaration for Worth County for that, maybe ours combined with other little counties will actually get enough. So like maybe Floyd County can get some, or where they have some public infrastructure stuff, but signs, if putting up barricades and stuff like that. So and just a little FYI, I did see Wright County just put out their dollar amount, $61.5 million in damages. Majority was farm buildings, grain bins. There was one site had $7 million in grain bin damage, and then $1 million on a chicken farm. So,
Wow.
7 million in grain bins.
Well, that would not take very much.
I think it was 5 grain bins, so
Took
they were big ones.
$1.50 to $2 a bushel to build any storage, so.
Don't take long at all.
No, it doesn't.
So they had kind of very similar to like what Worth County had, just 2 very distinct paths diagonal across their county. A primary one and then just a secondary one. And I think they declared those down there as tornadoes. Talking with the weather service, what they're looking at is whether they were straight line winds or tornadoes. The damage is done, damage.
Right.
6 of one, half dozen of the other, but they said that with a straight line wind or a fast moving tornado in that front, basically it would develop and just travel right along that front real fast. And that's what you're seeing is it's spun up and it just right up across that front real fast. So
I'm sure that countywide, it won't take long to get over now, a couple $1 million worth of damage here.
right, I
Probably
mean,
just on Mark Avenue.
Yeah. $1 million a month.
so,
Frame and sheds and, yeah.
Big machine sheds.
Sheds and,
so, yeah, we gathered some information on that and stuff like that. Look, I know there was a trailer here in Northwood that lost part of their roof. And then I've seen at least one house that had damage from a tree landing like on the edge of it and damage. And another house had a tarp over part of the roof, so I don't know if they had a branch punch a hole in it or what. And there was a
shingles off pretty good too.
a lot of this damage that I saw at residences were siding and shingles, partial removal of the siding, partial removal of the shingles. When it comes lightweight construction with sheds and stuff, it was total, anywhere from, just walls down to completely gone.
Right.
I did see one picture of a grain bin that was tipped enough that it actually shoved lumber underneath the concrete from the bin.
Wow.
So we'll set it back down.
Interesting. Okay.
And then we did have our commission meeting last Thursday night amongst all that. Came up with a policy on the AEs, things of that. What else do we do? All approved. We're gonna do a budget amendment for the WCDA grant that we have for the generator. We're gonna have, because there wasn't enough, or the model we put in for was discontinued. So our options were go either a size bigger or size smaller. Going to size smaller wasn't really something I thought would be good. I talked to Deb at WCDA, she says that wouldn't spend all of your grant funds. That throws a wrench in her auditors. When they look at that, they're like, why is that? And so for a few more $1,000s, we can go a size bigger, and the commission was okay with that. So we're gonna do a budget amendment to get that process going. We'll do that at the same time we do budget hearings for the next fiscal year too.
Sounds good.
Hey, AJ?
Yeah.
Just so you know, I put an ad in the paper, or it's gonna be in the paper this Wednesday that, for residents, if you have any major structural damage done to buildings and dwellings, to give us a call, because that value should be adjusted. It's not for trees or a few
Yeah.
shingles, but so as you're talking to people, if it's something that's really gonna affect value, make sure they,
The building was totally destroyed.
yeah.
Not gonna be rebuilt.
Something's not gonna get replaced or something
Yeah,
like that.
even if it's gonna be replaced and it's 25% damaged, I mean, they have a right to have 25% off that value, so.
Right.
Can you give me copies of that information once you obtain that? Just,
Oh, what's all damaged?
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean-
I'll keep track of everything.
'cause that's, we have the website out there for people to report damage and stuff, and that's, people don't take the time. I mean, there were some people that did
Yeah.
that, but most people, they don't take the time to report the damage. They go get their tractors or loaders or friends and they start cleaning up.
Yeah.
That's what we do around here.
And I think I was gonna have you put it on the website too, Joel. Did I CC you on that? I think I did, but I'll get with you.
About what?
About putting on the website, on my website, that if there's substantial damage due to, okay,
Haven't seen that yet.
okay, I'll get with you.
Only thing I'll bring up real quick is Justin North did graduate from the academy on Friday. He was also a recipient of the Director's Award, which made him, he had to do 90% in academic, 90% in physical fitness, and have no disciplinary during the process. So I'm pretty proud of him for doing that. That's 90 people, only 4 of them got it. So
Wow.
That's good. Very good. Yep. Okay.
Only damages we had from the storm, we lost one sign.
That's it, huh?
So bad. And so we were pretty lucky. We did work with Mark ahead of time and we had his actual PTO generator set up on a tractor in our south shed. So if we would have needed to get our equipment or to get into his building, we could backfeed and actually run the doors. So we actually spent a day and a half getting ready for the storm. So we were ready if we were needed or anything like that. So that's the bulk of my, other than the week before we do our budget workshop, I was hoping that I'm actually gonna be gone the week you're doing budget workshop. So maybe after the supervisor meeting the week before, if you guys can just stick around and I can go through my budget with you guys quick.
Should be okay. Should be all right.
So IT wise, firewall project is still going on. It's, we ran into some issues, bringing in one of the internet service providers, but I think we got that figured out now. We're gonna do cut over the 28th. So just to let everybody know, department heads, after hours, but we'll have, I'm sure, issues that'll be popping up after that. Also, I want to talk with you guys sometime. I'm looking at changing our DR strategy. Right now, we actually physically own a storage device down in Des Moines that's in IP Pathways Data Center co-locate. So we are blasting our data down there, and that's costing us, roughly, I think, $800 a month to do that. But yeah, whatever that works out to. But support on that device, it's getting older down there. That's one of our old ones up here that we've repurposed. So we're spending about 10 grand a year just to do maintenance and support on that device. So I had IP Pathways throw up a proposal for a disaster recovery. One, we would not own any equipment down in Des Moines. We would be using their equipment. And then they would air gap our data to their facility in Nebraska, in Omaha. So we would have our data here, we would have it in Des Moines, and then it would be air gapped in Nebraska. Along with that, they would do one DR spin up a year. So we would have a test. We would actually bring all of our stuff down. We would spin it up all down in Des Moines and we would run on that. So we would have an actual test.
That would be nice.
Yeah, you want the price tag on that? Price tag's about 30 grand a year for that.
Or what's your alternative?
Do what we're doing now.
And had you talked with Winnebago Telephone at all, or that's something different that they don't do anything with?
That, and I talked about doing that with our beams, so we've got a beam backup as well.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a different backup system that I use for local backups. Somebody deletes something, then that's how I bring it back up. And I talked about doing something on that end, but I don't think they have the capability to do the spin up and run. It's nice to have a company like IP Pathways that can actually bring up all the resources that we would need, especially if we have a courthouse, if we move the courthouse or something like that, or if we have to relocate, then we just would primarily run off of that infrastructure down there if possible.
Is what would happen now if the courthouse would have went Wednesday night?
So if the courthouse would have went Wednesday night, we would have spun things up there, but then we would have had to pay for infrastructure. So all we have is storage. We don't have compute. We don't have memory. But in that kind of situation, we don't care about price. We just need to get up and running. So, because it would be very expensive to have that all of a sudden stood up.
So we'd be more ready all
Yeah,
the time
so
then?
a lot of the infrastructure would already be stood up down there and just not powered up per se.
Because I was more worried about the courthouse than I was about my own house on Wednesday night. I wanted it to be standing because it would have been a mess.
You and I disagreed on that, but.
Oh.
EOC was in danger, but the courthouse was fine.
Yeah. We did have to evacuate the EOC.
We're trying to figure out how.
So really the difference is only 6 or 8 grand though. If you're spending 10 on maintenance and over 10 on just having the space, I mean, it's.
Yeah, I mean,
The
realistically,
sticker shock isn't as big when you consider what we take off of what we're paying.
right. So what we're primarily doing in a lot of things in technology, you're taking it out of CapEx. I mean, we're spending a lot of things out of CapEx and we're actually putting into operational expense. So we're not, and if you guys see my budget over the years, the capital expenses have gone down, but the operational expenses have gone up because we're starting to use things as a service now. Instead of buying the hardware and the software, we're consuming things as a service.
Same way as private individual.
Yeah.
They changed so fast, it's probably better not to
Yes.
own it.
Sometimes it is, sometimes not.
You either pay for updates or you pay, so you just go pay a yearly fee to basically stay.
Or when you have technicians come, they charge you off the bills.
That, well, I mean, either way.
If you can
Just
get there,
driving
go
here.
nowadays.
We can go back to.
And that's the story too. Tyler, all of our Tyler stuff is on
It's been
prem.
nice working here.
That's one of ledger.
No.
Oh, jeez.
All of our Tyler stuff is on prem. Now Tyler is saying that they're still gonna offer the on-prem stuff, but they're not gonna update it like they will their cloud offerings. So if we want all the latest and greatest and up-to-date stuff, we're gonna have to go with their cloud service. And I have some issues with their cloud service just because Tyler got breached last year, a pretty bad one. And AWS, which they're hosting their stuff on, had a major shutdown here this last week.
What do other counties do?
Well, I mean, I think all of us are gonna, all us Tyler counties or Tyler counties are gonna be in the same boat. I mean, we're gonna have to make the decision whether, I imagine a lot of us are gonna take a look at that. We haven't seen any money yet, so we're not sure how much they're gonna charge us. But that's,
Because if they went to the cloud, you wouldn't have to worry about that part being.
we would not have to worry about the storage or anything like that, but if internet goes down, you're not working on stuff. If internet goes down here today, you're still up and running, per se. But, so I'll keep you guys in the loops as far as what's going on with those discussions, but I just want to give you a heads up on it. Any questions, Amos?
Nope.
Right, thank you. That it?
Supervisor Weekly. Enos, you have anything or are you pretty quiet over there?
I'm pretty quiet because the things that I could have made it to, the possibility of a tornado and the wind took care of them meetings.
Sounds good. Mark,
I
anything?
just had the discussion with the finance trust, phone call with them. I think they're just not sure, and what's going on. They're supposed to clarifications, and apparently they must be doing some financing there somewhere along the lines, but. So they'd get back to me, or like I said, I did directly to Melissa if they had any tip, kind of wondering how tip works and things like that, like I said, I know enough just to be dangerous. But they're very interested in this project too, and I think they want to see it go forward. Can't speak for them. I don't like us, we're gonna try to do what we can to make it work, so.
I just had the redistrict meeting. It's like Jackie and Joel been a good start for us, and as long as the state likes what's going on, it's gonna be a simpler solution to the ultimate solution we have. So hopefully it'll all work out and the state will approve the redistricting, so not a lot would change. Otherwise, if we go with Plan B, then that side of the street has to go against it. So hoping Plan A goes good and everything should be fine, so we'll see what the state says, so. And then I did get asked, I don't know if I told you guys this last week, I did get asked to be on the executive committee with NICOG. They'll be looking to appoint me on January, so I will now grab another meeting on Wednesday afternoons. Right before my Wednesday golf. Conveniently
Better get
works
those
on
done
Wednesdays.
Make sure you. cherish it.
Yeah. So. Anywho, that's all I had. Any other meetings we need to be on together with?
There'll be some coming up after first year, I'm sure. but-
Yeah, I've been trying to add them as I see them, so.
So, and if we do come up with engineer thing, we'll get that to you
Right on.
too. All right, nothing else, then, take a motion to adjourn.
So,
There's a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, aye?
uh,
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.